Your time, your voice, and your peace are sacred. They are not meant to be traded away in endless arguments or worn down by the weight of proving your intentions to those who are unwilling to understand. There is a deeper strength in silence than in endless words, a deeper dignity in walking away than in trying to be heard where your voice is ignored. You must understand that not every ear is meant to hear your story, and not every heart is ready to receive your truth. Some doors close not because you are unworthy, but because you are being guided to stand in places where you are truly valued. So today, embrace the courage to stop explaining yourself and begin living in a way that speaks louder than words ever could. When you finally understand the power of your own silence, something shifts inside you. You stop chasing approval. You stop trying to win arguments that were never worth your energy in the first place. You begin to realize that not every doubt needs a response, not every question deserves an answer, and not every voice deserves your attention. There is strength in restraint, in choosing not to react to every word thrown your way. Silence becomes your shield, and in that silence, your confidence begins to grow. Life will place you in rooms where people question you, underestimate you, and even try to define you by their limitations. They will speak from their own doubts, their own fears, and their own insecurities. If you respond to every one of them, you will find yourself drained, distracted, and disconnected from your purpose. But when you choose silence, you rise above the noise. You show them that your energy is too valuable to be spent on proving what is already true. Your silence is not weakness. It is discipline. It is control. It is a statement that you know who you are, even if they don't. There was a time when you may have felt the need to explain every decision, defend every move, and justify every step. But growth teaches you something different. Growth teaches you that your actions carry more weight than your explanations. When you work in silence, when you build in silence, when you move with purpose without broadcasting every detail, you create something powerful. You create results that speak for themselves, and results do not need defense. Think about the times when someone doubted you. Think about the moments when someone said you couldn't do it, that you weren't capable, that you would fail. Their doubt was never your limit. It was only their perspective. And when you chose not to argue, not to fight, not to get lost in their words, you protected your focus. You kept your eyes on your path. That is where your power lies. Silence gives you clarity. When you are not busy defending yourself, you begin to hear your own thoughts more clearly. You start to understand your direction, your goals, your purpose. You become more grounded, more centered, more aware of what truly matters. The noise fades, and what remains is your inner voice guiding you forward. That voice is far more important than any outside doubt. There is a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need to argue your worth. You don't need to convince people who have already made up their minds. Let them doubt. Let them question. Let them speak. While they are talking, you are building. While they are guessing, you are growing. While they are focused on you, you are focused on your purpose. Your silence also teaches others how to treat you. When you stop engaging in unnecessary arguments, you set a boundary. You send a clear message that your time is valuable and your peace is non-negotiable. People who respect that will rise to meet you with respect. People who don't will eventually reveal themselves, and you will not need to say a word to see it happen. There is strength in holding your ground without raising your voice. There is power in walking away without needing the last word. There is wisdom in choosing peace over proving a point. And in that space, you grow stronger. You become someone who is not easily shaken, not easily distracted, not easily pulled into battles that serve no purpose. You are not here to argue your way into greatness. You are here to build it. You are here to live it. You are here to live it. You are here to become it. And sometimes, the most powerful statement you can make is to say nothing at all and let your life speak for you. Not everyone who shows interest in your life deserves full access to your journey. You learn that the hard way, after giving too much of yourself to people who only intended to watch, not to support. There comes a point where wisdom steps in and tells you to be more selective, more intentional, more aware of who you allow into your inner circle. Your life is not a stage for everyone to sit in the front row and comment on every move you make. It is something sacred, something personal, something that requires protection. When you first begin your journey, you may be open, trusting, and willing to share your dreams with anyone who seems interested. You speak about your goals, your struggles, your plans, hoping to find encouragement and support. But not everyone who listens is rooting for you. Some are observing quietly, waiting to see if you will fail. Others may smile in your face but carry doubt in their hearts. That is when you realize that access must be earned, not given freely. You do not owe everyone your full story. You do not owe everyone your struggles, your plans, or your progress. Some people are meant to see only the results, not the process. Because the more you expose, the more you risk interference, negativity, and unnecessary opinions that can slow your growth. Protecting your life is not being secretive, it is being wise. It is understanding that not everyone can handle the weight of your journey, and not everyone deserves the privilege of witnessing it up close. There is power in privacy. When you move in silence and allow your results to speak for you, you remove the noise that comes from too many voices. You focus on what truly matters, your discipline, your growth, your purpose. The fewer people who have access to your plans, the fewer opinions you have to filter through. And that clarity allows you to move with confidence and direction. Think about the people who have been in your life but did not add value to your growth. Some may have doubted you. Some may have doubted you. Some may have compared you. Some may have even tried to discourage you when you were at your most vulnerable. These are not the people who deserve front row seats. They are not the ones who should be close enough to influence your direction. Learning to step back and reassess who belongs in your inner circle is one of the most important decisions you will ever make. Your energy is limited, and where you place your attention matters. When you allow too many people access to your life, you risk losing focus. You begin to absorb opinions that are not aligned with your purpose. You start questioning yourself in ways you never needed to. But when you create boundaries, when you choose who gets close, you preserve your energy for the people who truly matter and the goals that truly define you. Not everyone will understand your journey, and that is okay. Not everyone is meant to. Some people will never see your vision the way you see it. Some will not believe in your path. That does not mean you stop moving forward. It means you keep going, with or without their approval. You do not need a crowd to validate your purpose. You only need the discipline to stay committed to it. When you begin to value yourself, you start to realize that your life is not a performance. It is a mission. And missions require focus, not distractions. They require discipline, not approval. They require the courage to stand firm in your decisions, even when others question them. You must be willing to walk your path without the need for constant applause or validation. There is a quiet strength in choosing who gets close to you. It is not about shutting people out completely, but about being intentional with access. You allow in those who support your growth, who respect your boundaries, who encourage your progress. You keep out those who bring doubt, confusion, or unnecessary negativity. That is how you protect your peace. That is how you stay aligned with your purpose. Your life is yours to build, yours to protect, yours to grow. Not everyone deserves to sit in the front row and watch every detail of your journey unfold. Some will only appreciate you once you succeed. Others may never understand you at all. And that is something you must accept without hesitation. Because once you learn to guard your space, your focus becomes sharper, your path becomes clearer, and your progress becomes unstoppable. There is a moment in life when you realize that not every explanation leads to understanding. In fact, the more you try to explain yourself to people who have already decided not to respect you, the more you give away your power. Respect begins within. If you do not hold yourself in high regard, you will find yourself constantly trying to justify your choices, your actions, your worth. But when you reach a point where you truly value yourself, something changes. You stop chasing validation and start standing fesh. Ermin, who you are over-explaining, is often a sign that you are trying to be understood by the wrong people. You believe that if you just say it better, explain it clearer, or defend it harder, they will finally see your truth. But respect does not come from convincing someone who is unwilling to listen. Respect comes from knowing that your truth stands on its own without needing approval or constant clarification. When you respect yourself, you stop lowering your standards just to be heard. Think about how much energy is wasted when you keep trying to explain your intentions to someone who has already judged you. Every word, every justification, every attempt to prove yourself pulls you further away from your peace. That energy could be used to build, to grow, to move forward. But instead, it gets drained in conversations that never change anything. Respecting yourself means recognizing when a conversation is no longer productive and choosing to step away without guilt. There is strength in silence when silence is chosen with purpose. When you stop over-explaining, you begin to understand that your actions speak louder than your words ever could. You do not need to defend every decision, explain every move, or justify every step. The people who truly matter will see your consistency, your integrity, your character. They will understand you without needing endless explanations. And the ones who do not respect you will continue to question you no matter how much you say. Respect is reflected in how you allow others to treat you. If you constantly feel the need to explain yourself, you may be unconsciously accepting a level of disrespect that should not be tolerated. When you respect yourself, you set boundaries. You make it clear that your time, your energy, and your voice are valuable. You do not engage in arguments that lead nowhere. You do not entertain conversasi, ons that are meant to belittle or challenge your worth. You stand firm, knowing that your presence alone should command respect. There is a quiet confidence that comes when you stop over-explaining. You no longer feel the need to fill every silence or respond to every doubt. You become more grounded in your purpose, more secure in your decisions, more aware of your value. This confidence is not loud, it does not seek attention, but it is undeniable. It shows in how you carry yourself, how you speak, how you move through the world. People begin to notice that you are no longer easy to shake, no longer quick to defend, no longer available for unnecessary explanations. You begin to understand that not everyone deserves your full story. Some people are not ready to hear it, and some are not worthy of it. And that is not your burden to carry. Your responsibility is to protect your peace and honor your journey. When you stop over-explaining, you reclaim control over your narrative. You decide what to share, when to share it, and with whom. That level of control is a reflection of self-respect. There is a discipline in holding back your words, in choosing not to respond to every challenge, in knowing when to walk away. That discipline builds character. It builds strength. It teaches you patience and wisdom. And over time, it shapes you into someone who does not need to prove anything because your life itself becomes the proof. Respecting yourself enough to stop over-explaining is not about shutting down communication. It is about elevating it. It is about speaking when it matters and remaining silent when it does not. It is about trusting that the right people will understand you and the wrong ones never will, no matter how much you say. And once you embrace that truth, you begin to move differently, live differently, and carry yourself with a level of dignity that cannot be. Shaken's strength is not always loud. It does not always stand in the center of attention, demanding to be seen or heard. Sometimes, strength is quiet. Sometimes, strength is choosing to walk away from a situation, a conversation, or a person without needing their approval, their agreement, or their validation. That kind of strength comes from within. It comes from knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what you refuse to accept. There was a time when you may have felt the need to be understood by everyone. You wanted people to see your point of view, to agree with your decisions, to acknowledge your worth. You believed that if they just listened long enough, they would recognize your truth. But life teaches you something powerful over time. It teaches you that not everyone is meant to understand you, and not everyone is capable of giving you the validation you once sought. When you begin to grow, you start to realize that seeking validation can become a trap. It keeps you in places where you do not belong. It keeps you explaining yourself to people who have already made up their minds. It keeps you stuck in cycles where your value is determined by the opinions of others. But when you develop inner strength, you break free from that cycle. You stop waiting for permission to be yourself. You stop waiting for approval to move forward. You begin to trust your own judgment. Walking away without needing validation is not about running from conflict. It is about choosing your peace over unnecessary battles. It is about recognizing when a situation no longer serves your growth and having the courage to step away from it. That decision requires discipline. It requires confidence. And most importantly, it requires self-respect. There will always be moments when you are misunderstood. There will always be voices that doubt you, question you, or try to pull you back into conversations that drain your energy, but you do not have to engage with every voice. You do not have to defend yourself in every situation. Strength is knowing when to speak and when to remain silent, when to stand your ground and when to walk away without looking back. When you rely on validation from others, you give them control over your emotions. Their approval lifts you up, and their criticism pulls you down. That kind of dependency weakens you over time. But when you choose to walk away without needing their approval, you take back that control. You become grounded in your own truth. You no longer depend on others to define your worth. You define it yourself. There is freedom in letting go of the need to be understood by everyone. That freedom allows you to move forward without hesitation. It allows you to make decisions without fear of judgment. It allows you to grow without constantly looking over your shoulder for approval. And that kind of freedom builds a stronger, more focused, and more resilient version of you. Walking away is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength. It shows that you value your time, your energy, and your peace. It shows that you are no longer willing to entertain situations that do not align with your purpose. It shows that you understand your worth does not decrease just because someone fails to recognize it in your journey. You will encounter people who try to challenge your decisions, who question your direction, who attempt to make you doubt yourself. If you respond to every one of them, you will find yourself exhausted and distracted. But if you choose to walk away, you remain in control. You stay focused on your path. You protect your energy for the things that truly matter. True strength is quiet, steady, and unshakable. It does not seek validation, it does not chase approval, and it does not rely on the opinions of others to feel complete. It stands firm in its purpose and moves forward with confidence. When you embrace that kind of strength, you begin to live differently. You begin to carry yourself with a sense of calm confidence that cannot be easily disturbed. Walking away without needing validation is one of the most powerful decisions you will ever make. It is the moment you choose yourself over the noise, your peace over the chaos, your truth over the opinions of others. And once you make that choice, you never have to prove anything again because your actions will speak for you, and your life will reflect the strength you have chosen to live with every day. There comes a time in life when you finally understand that your energy is one of the most valuable things you possess. It is not just your time, not just your effort, but the very essence of your focus, your discipline, and your presence. And once it's gone, you don't get it back. So you learn to guard it, protect it, and invest it wisely. Because not everyone deserves access to it, and certainly not those who are unwilling to grow, listen, or change. You have to recognize the difference between people who are open and those who are closed. Some people are willing to learn, willing to grow, willing to meet you halfway. And then there are those who are unwilling, resistant, stuck in their ways, comfortable in their own limitations. If you spend your time trying to change someone who does not want to change, you will drain yourself without seeing any real progress. That is not wisdom. That is exhaustion disguised as effort. Your energy is meant for purpose. It is meant for building, for creating, for moving forward. When you waste it on the unwilling, you are pulling yourself away from your own path. You are stepping out of alignment with your goals, your vision, your calling, and every moment you spend trying to convince someone who is not ready is a moment you could have used to strengthen your own foundation. There is a quiet power in knowing when to step back. You don't have to argue. You don't have to convince. You don't have to prove anything to anyone who has already decided not to understand. That is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to stay focused, stay disciplined, and continue to move forward with clarity. Let them be where they are, and you continue to rise. Think about how many times you have given your energy to people who did not appreciate it. You explained yourself over and over. You tried to help them see your point of view. You poured your time into conversations that went nowhere. And in the end, you walked away, feeling tired, maybe even frustrated. That feeling is your signal. It is your reminder that your energy deserves better. When you begin to value your energy, your choices change. You become more selective with your conversations. You become more intentional with your time. You start to recognize which environments lift you up and which ones pull you down. And slowly you begin to distance yourself from anything that drains you without purpose. That is not isolation. That is protection. There is strength in not reacting. There is power in not engaging. When someone is unwilling to understand you, silence becomes your strongest response. It keeps you centered. It keeps you focused. It prevents you from being pulled into arguments that do not lead anywhere. And in that silence, you reclaim your energy. Your energy should be directed toward growth, not resistance, toward progress, not arguments, toward building something meaningful, not trying to fix what someone else refuses to acknowledge. The more you invest in yourself, the more you begin to see the value of your own time and effort, and the less tolerance you have for anything that disrupts. Your peace, not everyone is meant to walk the path with you. Some people are only meant to cross your path for a moment. And when you realize that, you stop trying to force connections that were never meant to last. You stop trying to change people who are committed to staying the same. And instead, you focus on those who are aligned with your growth, your vision, your direction. Your energy is not just valuable, it is limited. And anything that is limited must be used with intention. You cannot afford to give it away freely to those who do not respect it. You cannot afford to keep wasting it on people who have no desire to meet you halfway. You have to be intentional. You have to be disciplined. You have to be aware once you understand this. Your life begins to change. You stop feeling drained all the time. You stop feeling like you are constantly giving without receiving. You start to feel more in control, more focused, more aligned with your purpose. Because you are no longer wasting your energy on the unwilling. You are investing it where it truly matters. And that is where real strength begins. Not in fighting every battle, not in convincing every person, but in knowing when to walk away and preserve what is yours. Your energy is too valuable to be wasted. And once you truly believe that, you will never give it away so easily again, in the end. You begin to see life with clearer eyes. You understand that your energy is not meant to be scattered across people and places that cannot honor it. It is meant to be directed with purpose, guarded with discipline, and invested with intention. When you stop wasting your energy on the unwilling, you create space for growth, for peace, and for the kind of progress that speaks for itself. You no longer feel the need to chase understanding or force people to meet you where they are not willing to go. Instead, you stand firm in your truth and continue moving forward. There is a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are no longer drained by people who cannot see your value. Your focus sharpens, your strength deepens, your path becomes clearer, and in that clarity, you find a new level of freedom. You are free from unnecessary arguments, free from constant validation, and free from the weight of trying to convince the unwilling from this point forward. You move differently. You choose wisely. You protect your peace. And you never again allow your energy to be wasted on anything or anyone that does not respect its worth.